Okay, I'll call the order of the Sparks City Council meeting of August the 12th, 2019 with a roll call, please.
Mayor Smith.
Here.
Council members Abbott.
Here.
Lawson. Here. Anderson.
Here.
Bybee. Here. Dare.
Here.
City Attorney Adams. Here. City Manager Croots.
Here.
We have a quorum, thank you.
Okay, and for invocation speakers, Pastor Lee Niche. Come on up. Hello, Pastor. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for the privilege. Let's be in an attitude of prayer. Gracious God, we are so grateful to be standing on this side of hot August nights with peace and calm in these days of interrupted violence in many of our cities. We give thanks for all of those who stood on the line, our police department and others, to make sure that this event was safe and everyone there was protected. We pray especially this day for our students who are returning to school, for our teachers who are receiving them, and also for nervous parents who are praying that their kids begin the school on the right foot. We pray that all their anxieties may be lessened and that their hopes and dreams be assured by our public education system. We thank you for the council and for all the great work that they have done so far this year and all the promise that they hold for the coming weeks and months. We pray that each issue that comes before them is well heard and discerned, and that the city of Sparks may actually resemble a little more closely your dream and reign, your kingdom for this world. We pray all of this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you very much. If you remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Lawson, would you lead us, please?
Yes, please join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, here. Okay, I'm going to open up the public comment period. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak, please fill out one of these cards, and we'll get you up in. You have 3 minutes. First speaker is Clint Neuenberg. Come on up, Clint.
All right.
Welcome.
I'm new to this one. Just have a seat.
Have a seat, and those microphones should be on for you.
Excellent. Good afternoon, council members. I'm Clint Neuenberg, one of the owners of Pinion Bottle. We just opened over right next to the movie theater in Victorian Square. And I'm just here today to kind of get the issue of growler fills on everyone's radar. My understanding, as the code stands right now, businesses like mine are not allowed to fill growlers. They're only allowed to be filled if beer is produced on site, so say at Great Basin or Revision or any of those places. But a beer bar like ours is not allowed to fill growlers. So we'd like to get that changed. That's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Yeah, see the rest of my time. I don't have
And
much
if you
else
folks
to-
haven't been over their establishment, give it a try. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Okay, next speaker, Kim Sinitsky. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Kim Sosinski, and I am an owner of a property on D Street. And the pieces of paper that I am forwarding to you right now is what my office is. It's 1645 D Street, and I've owned it for about 14 years. And the property across the street is 1626, and that is a property that I've rented for about 10 years and owned. And when I got this property, or that we got this property about 10 years ago, it was really all in the idea of turning these small businesses, or turning these small houses into businesses. And as the downturn of the economy, it didn't necessarily work out that I could buy the whole block going down the street, but I certainly wanted to do that. having small businesses in this community in the downtown area has really, I mean, I love it down there. I love my business being down there, and it's very mixed. And businesses bring a lot of energy and good things that happen for our community. There is a business that wants to open in the property that I own on 1626, and it is a tattoo studio. And it is not permitted under the zoning that we have right now to allow for a business like this. And I just wanted to say that this is the kind of business that we need in downtown. When we started 39 North Downtown about 4 or 5 years ago, this is what we advocated for, is turning these small houses into businesses because it makes for a better community and a mix of really great businesses. Restrictions can be put on this studio so that it fits into the type of location that we have here. I think it's really a special spot to be able to have people that are invested in this community and be able to work in this building or anywhere down there in these couple block areas that we're looking at. And I urge you to look at the zoning change. We tried to do it in a couple different ways, and the city didn't necessarily buy into it, but we want to go, and the owners here want to go into it in a proper way and get the proper zoning so that this really amazing business can be in our downtown. Thanks.
Thanks, Kim. Okay, the next speaker is Anthony Ortega. Come on down, Anthony. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Anthony, and I am a current business owner in Reno, and as she was stating, I would like to move it into Sparks. And my business is tattooing, but it's also multifaceted of all different types of art. I do a lot of murals and commission pieces and stuff like that. And I see the future of tattooing going in a direction that is a lot more upscale and a lot more boutique style, to where people are searching out better quality because not the same generation of people or genre of people are getting tattooed anymore. And the future for it is more on the artistic side and more on the professional side. And I would like to be the start of that and push it in that direction and set kind of the standard of what is expected out of a professional business as a tattoo shop. I would also like to note that I'm a father, and tattooing has supported me as an individual for the past 15 years and now is supporting my family of 4. And I own the house across the street, which is 2 doors down from the place Kim owns. Well, she owns both, and that is a house that I also rent out the 2 apartments behind to individuals for providing people a place to live. And I would like to just continue to grow that area, as she was stating, into a business residential of sorts, and to just not be so limited as to what is considered a proper business for the multi-use residential neighborhood. I guess that would be most of my points. Also, just tattooing in general has been around for the beginning of man. There's tattoos on mummies, on ancient, sculptures and stuff. And the fact that it is as limited as it is, to me, is very unnecessary, and I don't know, should be given a second chance to be put more into the community as a positive note instead of trying to hide it away. So, thank you.
Thanks, Anthony. Okay, next speaker is Mary Gilbert. Come on down, Mary. Welcome.
I just want to set up one of these for them to share. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Okay. First, I want to, I haven't met with everybody yet, so I just want to, if that's okay. I sent you this in an email, but I might as well give you a hard copy.
You are a busy woman to get a hold of. That's for you.
Thank you.
So what you guys are holding in your hands currently, I've given to some of the other council members while speaking with them. One of the things is specifically for D Street, but it applies to the proposal that we have now. So I'm here to continue the conversation that I've started with many of you in regards to allowing tattoo shops in multi-use residential areas, which is exclusively only in Ward 1. So I gave you the, sorry. Initially, we were less aware of what needs to go into this change, but as we've become more involved and committed to this, we're much more organized and willing to help with this change. And I hope that you, our local government, are willing to help as well. Change can only come through growth and persistence, and while I've always been persistent, now I'm growing in understanding how to participate in local politics and make things work to make Sparks a better place. Tattoo shops are only allowed in 3 other zones in Sparks currently, making them allowed in about 13% of the city. I've been doing a lot of research. Many of these zones are also regulated by the developers, making it extremely difficult to open a tattoo shop here, which means that many people are going to Reno or other areas, therefore taking business away from Sparks for this purpose. I'm not sure why the regulations are so strict. I can only assume that it might be because of the stigma attached to tattoo shops and what they represent. Tattoos just aren't for degenerates anymore. It's a mother getting a meaningful Bible verse. It's business people getting a tattoo to commemorate their mother who recently passed. A grandmother getting a tattoo after decades of never stepping foot into a tattoo shop, finally realizing that the stigma around them is a fallacy. It's a man who was once a gang member getting his gang tattoos by sacred geometry to symbolize moving forward in his life on a better path. These are all real-life examples of many people my husband has tattooed, and there are many more, but I only have 3 minutes. We understand that this concept seems like it might bring some seedy places into residential areas. However, tattoo shops in an area like this are never going to make it if they rely on walk-in traffic. Allowing tattoo shops in multi-use residential zones means that you're welcoming quiet, appointment-only studios that are respectful and high quality, making Sparks a more welcoming place for incredible art. I know many of you are in support of bringing more art into the city, and this is a really wonderful place to start. Be it on a wall, canvas, or skin, art inspires and beautifies a community. I hope you're willing to continue this conversation with us and give us hope in our local government and give us the opportunity to open our business in a city that we live in and love. And just, it was supposed to go up on the little screen, but what I put on there.
It was up there.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Cool. That's a mural that Anthony did 2 years ago at the Circus. He won first place. He's a really incredible muralist as well as a tattoo artist. And in allowing tattoo shops to come in here, you aren't just welcoming tattooers. You're welcoming artists who really, put a lot of effort into the work that they do, because in some cases it's a lifelong thing. So I really hope that you guys give this some consideration. I've spoken with quite a few of the council people, and I know that the next step is you guys talking to the city manager's office, and so I'm hoping that we can get some really good results. And in that packet are some different suggestions on how to make this work for everybody. Am I out of time?
You're way out of time.
Oh, okay. Well,
But I was letting you
I
go.
could talk about this forever.
I kept seeing the ending, but it kept going. So.
yeah, well, I'm just really passionate about it and excited about it, and you guys are going to get tired of my face. You're going to
Thank
see
you.
me so much. So thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Jesus Brown. Jesus?
He was just supposed to be. I'm in support. I'm not speaking.
Oh, okay. And he's in support of the rezoning for tattoo shops. Okay, Ron Moreland. Come on down, Ron, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I just have a short statement to read, or to state. recently I was embarrassed and I guess a bit outraged over the comments attributed to the mayor in the Reno Gazette about the drag queen story time. I had hoped that the mayor would realize that he was elected to represent all the people of Sparks, not some right-wing homophobes. And I would hope that this city would be a little more open to what's happening out there. Was just a very disappointing to see those comments from my mayor. That was it.
Thank you, Ron. Okay, Wendy, I cannot pronounce your last name, so Stolaroff?
Very nearly, Mayor. My name is Wendy Stoliaroff, for the record. Good afternoon, Mayor Smith and
Welcome,
honorable
Wendy.
council members. I am a resident of Ward 1, and I come representing not only myself, but a number of members of the LGBT community who either could not attend today or wish to retain their anonymity. I am speaking regarding Drag Queen Story Hour last month. According to the Drag Queen Story Hour website, Drag Queen Story Hour captures the imagination and play of the gender fluidity of childhood and gives kids glamorous, positive, and unabashedly queer role models. In spaces like this, kids are able to see people who defy rigid gender restrictions and imagine a world where people can present as they wish, and where dress up is real. Hearing a public official conflate drag performers and trans people is hurtful. Hearing that your city's highest public official believes that trans people shouldn't be speaking to children is even more hurtful. Many trans people either have or are themselves children. Sparks, especially Ward 1, where the library is a remarkably diverse place, and that's something that we should be protecting and treasuring to the best of our capability. All peaceful residents of Sparks must feel safe and welcome here. As a doctor must minister to a body, a city council must minister to a body politic. First, do no harm. Please consider the effects of your speech on members of vulnerable minority groups. Our city is a plurality, and no one deserves marginalization. As a final note, I would urge the City of Sparks to consider forming a Human Rights Commission to discuss and inform the council on issues like these. The City of Reno formed theirs in 2016, and it's been successful in ensuring that the voices of vulnerable groups are heard. I've already collected almost 100 signatures encouraging the city to take this step, and will be collecting more. Forming a Human Rights Commission would go a long way towards raising Sparks' Municipal Equality Index as per the Human Rights Campaign. Our city's score is currently just over 40 out of 100, while Reno's is 100 out of 100. We can and must do better to make Sparks a hometown place for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else in the audience wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the council. 5.1, approval of the agenda. Does anybody want to pull anything, move it? Okay, looking for a motion. Mr. Lawson,
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
we have a motion. Looking for a second. Mr. Abbott?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Okay, minutes, 6.1, consideration and possible approval of the minutes of the Sparks City Council meeting for July 8th, 2019. Any changes? Seeing none, looking for a motion, Mr. Dare.
I move to approve the minutes.
We have a motion, looking for a second, Ms. Bybee.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. It passes unanimously. Okay, we'll move on to number 7, announcements, presentations, recognition items, and items of special interest. Is the Spanish Springs Rodeo team here?
Not yet.
Okay, school started today, so they'll probably be a little bit late. When they get here, we'll just bump them right into wherever we're at. So we have a presentation next from 2018 Golden Eagle Regional Park Annual Report. Tony, come on down. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, council members, Tony Paley, Recreation Manager for the record. I'm here to give you the Golden Eagle Regional Park 2018 Annual Report. Our first slide is of the park being photographed by Tom Smedes from the East Hills back towards Mount Rose. we get accused of photoshopping a lot of our photos because it's so beautiful out there, and many people aren't used to seeing a complex in that type of setting. So a lot of our photos with the hills behind it, we've had people ask us, are those photoshopped? And we're proud to say they're not. So this was just a beautiful photo that Tom took that I wanted to share with you. This is an aerial view of Golden Eagle Regional Park. For those of you that aren't familiar with the numbering of the park and where the fields are, to your right, that is the north end closest to Vista Boulevard. The first 4 fields are 4 Little League fields. The second 2 are fields 5 and 6. Those are Babe Ruth-sized baseball fields. Next to those are 7, 8, and 9, which are multi-purpose football, soccer, lacrosse fields. And then we have the adult softball fields. There's 5 fields in the pinwheel with a 6th field further up the hill. The complex also consists of 3 concession stands, a full sports bar on the 2nd level of the building in the softball fields. We also have basketball courts and bocce ball out there. So the fields to your left are the southern end of the complex. The big number, Golden Eagle Regional Park generated an estimated $24.4 million in economic impact from tournaments and events in 2018. We attracted over 1 million visits out at the park, and we hosted 53 tournaments and events in 2018. This little guy is out at Golden Eagle for the British Soccer Camp. It's an organization out of Sacramento that brings British soccer players over from Great Britain to teach the kids soccer, and it's a great experience. They love the accents, and they really enjoy it out there. Since opening the park in 2008, the complex is filled on a regular basis. Council members, I know you were out there last Monday. Was it last Monday? Sometime in the last couple weeks. And it was packed at 9 o'clock in the morning. That was part of 19 straight days of tournaments that we had going on out there. We started mid-July and finished August 5th of 19 days of tournaments, which was actually 4 different events just packed on time after time. So we've been very busy out there. The fields are booked from mid-January through the month of November with tournaments. We get teams from all over the country, Alaska, Hawaii, Florida, New York. We just had 14 teams from Hawaii at a tournament in June that all came over. So we've been very successful out there. We brought in 1,175 visiting teams to Sparks. Those are teams from outside Northern Nevada. Those are California, Idaho, Washington, everywhere else, which equated to 43,000 room nights. We track each tournament and ask the tournament directors, how many total teams did you have? How many were local teams? How many are outside of the area? So that we can actually get a good number of what we're generating. We had over 10,000 games played on the 15 synthetic fields, including our City League games and tournament games. And we hosted 11 tournaments in 2018 that had at least 50 to 200 teams participating. The 200 teams were here for 9 days. We continue to fill the complex, and it's had an incredible economic impact on Northern Nevada. We only count the teams that are coming from outside the area. That does not include any of the local teams because their money would be spent here anyway. So we're using formulas that are from the RSCVA and national organizations and to come up with our numbers. So I even think that the numbers are actually a little low because I want to be conservative with our estimates. Our complex, we've had national televised games by CBS Sports Network, live stream games, the internet, social media, our reputation for a great complex, and our weather to make Golden Eagle one of the premier complexes in the United States. In 2018, we didn't cancel a single day of tournaments because of our weather. So we're very fortunate. We don't have a lot of rainfall. And even when we do, if we have thunder boomers like we had last week, typically it'll rain for an hour. We can wait about an hour or 2 and get the game started right back up. So we haven't had to cancel any of our tournaments in 2018. This is a graph showing where we started in 2007. We had 27 events. That was between Shadow Mountain and Don Mello, our old sports complex. In 2008, we built Golden Eagle. And as you can see, we had a really big jump between 2009 and 2012. That was pretty much based on our reputation. People started hearing about us. We started getting phone calls. And now we're at 53, and 53 is about as maxed out as I can get. The only reason we were able to get from that 48 to 53 was really working with tournament directors and starting on a Tuesday instead of on a Thursday. Moving some events one day forward or one day back so that they could coexist, so that we could have 19 straight days of tournaments. So 53 events is what we had in 2018.
Does that include Shadow Mountain? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, the 53 total does not include Shadow Mountain, but Shadow Mountain is included in this part of the report because many of the tournaments, when you have 200 teams or even 50 teams, Golden Eagle won't hold it, especially on an adult tournament. When you have that many teams, we have to use the 4 fields at Shadow Mountain as an overflow. Oops. We also generated $179,000 in revenue from just field rentals. We rent out the fields at Golden Eagle 12 months of the year. Even in the month of December, there's soccer teams and softball teams and baseball teams that want to get out and practice. So we're utilizing the fields every month of the year. Golden Eagle is the only fields in northern Nevada that are open in the months of November through February. So it gives us a real advantage to be able to rent out the fields during those winter months. We're also home to over 500 local softball and kickball adult teams participating 11 months of the year. The only month that we don't play locally is the month of December. We even play in January and February with our Deep Freeze Softball League. But those are all local, those are the local adults that are the taxpayers playing on those fields. We also host numerous regional and national events for organizations like USA Softball, Senior Softball USA, Athletics, which is out of Louisville, Kentucky, which this year they're hosting 4 different events at Golden Eagle out of Louisville, Kentucky, and Triple Crown Sports, which is out of Colorado. We generate revenues out of Golden Eagle from our field rentals, our restaurant lease with Red's Golden Eagle Grill, tournament rentals, player assessment fees, lighting fees, and registration fees. This is another little girl that was playing in the British soccer camp. Lastly, the facility continues to host a variety of youth sports leagues for games and practices that occur 7 days a week, 9 months out of the year. That's all of our groups that are local kids. Those are your Little League, Babe Ruth, AYSO Soccer, Great Basin Soccer, Northern Nevada Soccer, Pop Warner, and SYFL. Approximately 4,500 youth from the city of Sparks participate at Golden Eagle on an annual basis. So we're really happy to be able to give them a facility, a world-class facility that they get to participate on a regular basis. That's a shot of our 2-story building. The top floor is Red's Golden Eagle Grill. Red's Golden Eagle Grill is also owned by the company that owns the Little Waldorf up by the university and Red's Old 395 down in Carson City. And that's our new Spark sign that was put up there, all lit up. This was almost at dark, and it's a beautiful asset to have out there. It really shines at night when you're walking into the complex. Our department thanks you very much for your ongoing support of what we do out of Golden Eagle. It's 95% of the job I do, and we love the facility, and we love having all the people come to Sparks to play there. So I'm open for any questions if you have any.
Questions or comments? Ms. Bybee.
Tony, I just have to say, I'm exceptionally proud because Golden Eagle sits in my ward.
Yes.
So it's the crown jewel for me that I get to brag about of Ward 4. But I can't thank you and your staff, everyone who's out there keeping it running, the maintenance crews, you for scheduling everything that you do. Obviously, the economic impact to this community is incredible. The opportunity for 4,500 youth and local adults to use it. I think it turned into more than we ever expected in 2008 when Golden Eagle was built. But I just wanted to give an extra thank you to you, and please pass it on to your staff for just a job well done.
Thank you very much. Like in the movie, A Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. We didn't think they'd come like they did. We've been very fortunate that it caught on like it did, and it is known all over the country as a premier complex. And I have wonderful staff that have been with us for years that help facilitate everything that we do out there. So it's been great. Thank you.
Mr. Abbott?
Yeah, on the 53 events that you have so far, are they growing like in team name or amount of teams to bigger tournaments?
Most of the larger tournaments can't grow anymore. We just don't have enough fields.
Yes.
Some of the smaller events could grow, but most of your large events, the 200 teams, they can't get any bigger than they are now. So the numbers stay pretty level from year to year. Some events go up a little, some events go down, but there's not a lot of growth in the larger events, just in some of the smaller ones. But the smaller ones are typically in our more off months, not the June, July, and August. They're more in the March, April, and May.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lawson?
I sit on the RSCVA board, and I've experienced firsthand when the sales manager of the RSCVA comes to me and says, "You got to find a way to fit this tournament in." I go, "Sorry, but that ain't gonna happen." So you guys are doing an awesome job. What a great forward thinking for the city of Sparks, and making a world-class facility, because I do hear about it that everybody loves playing on those fields.
Thank you.
Tony, I was speaking with a lady, she actually gave me a ride out to my car, and she had just come from a tournament, Southern California, and she says it was a great facility. She says, but nothing touches Golden Eagle Park. She says it's fantastic. And, you know, the scheduling that you must go through, it must keep you up at night, because it's got to be a nightmare.
They're playing till midnight, so I'm getting late night phone calls, but it's all worth it.
But you have a great crew, great staff, so I think you guys are doing amazing stuff out there. And
Thank you
I
very
think
much.
it's a feather in Sparks' hat when we can say that that's in Sparks, and we paid for it.
Yes, thank you very much.
Mr. Dare?
I'd like to say when we travel, sometimes we're with other city council from other cities across the whole country, and they ask us about this. So just know that it's, the secret's out. We tell them, we won't tell them how to do it because we have the best, and that's just how it is. But we really do. We have people ask us how we did it, what happened, how do we get there, and so it's an awesome thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Anderson?
Echo everyone else. Great job you and your team are doing. The thing that is so cool to me is that whether it's the knee-high kids that are out playing AYSO to the competitive league teams that are coming in, doesn't matter if you're in the senior group or, you know, high caliber players, they're all enjoying it out there, and it's just exciting to see. So thank you for the work you guys do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Are you on the next one as well, or is that Tracy?
No, that's Tracy.
Okay.
Did you get your signed baseball?
I did, thank you.
You're welcome.
The catcher made me look good, so I had to have everybody sign it. I know. I've been working on it.
You know they were gonna.
I know.
They're gonna draft him.
I know. Okay, that's enough. Okay, presentation Parks and Rec Department. Tracy, come on down. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mayor Smith and council members. Tracy Dominguez, Parks and Recreation Director. I'd like to introduce our Parks and Recreation Commission Chair, Andrea Tavner. She's joined us today to give this presentation on the commission and department's behalf.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm thrilled to be able to serve in this capacity. I absolutely love the Parks Department and the City of Sparks, and I'd be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge the other commissioners as well. Commissioner Byram is here today. Woohoo! So, thank you. Oh, hello, thank you.
Commissioner Frugoli.
Nice to see you. Okay, so the first slide, I'll wait till Tracy's ready, and I believe you have it. The actual budget for fiscal year 19, and these numbers are as of July 23rd, and this number is fluid. We still have some closing that's happening, but right now it's just over $1 million, and that is 75% cost recovery for that amount. The next slide is the revenue breakdown. The one thing that I really wanted to highlight is that the Youth Watch is almost $2 million, and that is 23% of the revenue for the parks that comes from the daycare programs. 2/3, what'd I say? 23%. Oh, so, you can't count on me for anything. It's 2/3, which is huge. Additional accomplishments, again, the Recreation Administration and Events had a 75% cost recovery rate, and that does fluctuate, but 75% is the goal. And again, as Tony mentioned, Golden Eagle had over 24 million economic impact to Truckee Meadows. And I also want to mention that we had the 15th Annual Mayor's Golf Tournament, which raised over $15,000 for the Youth Scholarship Fund, which is the highest to date. So thank you.
And
to
now might be the
everyone.
time to tell them when the tournament is for
When
this
the
year.
next one, is it October?
Yes, our next tournament will be, our 16th annual will be on October 18th at Red Hawk.
So thank you for that and for everyone that participates in that great opportunity. Additional accomplishments for 19 was the reinstatement of the Parks Naming Subcommittee. We were able to, the council approved 2 more parks, the Black Hills Park and the one on Truth Drive, which is the Jack Reviglio Memorial Park. And it's not included in here. I also wanted to mention the renaming of the Victorian Square Amphitheater to the Tony Armstrong Amphitheater as well last year. We also took a regional approach and passed the non-smoking vape-free parks. Tracy also has some signs, which I'm so excited, hot off the press, got to see them today. The Washoe County Health District provided a grant for all the entities, so at no cost to the city of Sparks, the city of Reno, or Washoe County. So all the signs will have the same uniform look. That way people, it doesn't matter. The only difference really is the code at the bottom for each entity will be different. But I'm super thrilled with the outcome. I love them.
Nice, very nice.
Additional accomplishments, the Parks and Recreation Department received a $50,000 grant from the National Endowment for the Arts for Public Arts Overlay Plan for Victorian Square. Francine Berg oversees that grant, and I'd like to commend her and everybody involved with that. That is a huge accomplishment. If you haven't had an opportunity, the 2 artists will be gathering community input. If you haven't had a chance yet to see them on Victorian, they'll be there for the rib cook-off. So please, if you haven't, take a moment, stop by, say hello. New events last year were the Lantern Festival, the Tweed Ride, and Tintabulations Concert. Another great project was the Sparks Marina Park improvements. They have designated swimming areas, which was reduced in size, but they replaced the logs with lifeline rope and vertical buoys, which it just has a much cleaner look and less birds. So unfortunate for the birdies, but great for everybody else. So, and they've received a lot of positive feedback from park users. Additionally, they did the Paw Raw tennis court resurfacing and had the tennis courts reopened on June 13th. They're passing around, it's fantastic. And I want to mention the cost is $107,829, which is $749 per square foot. That is actually cheaper than doing the asphalt. So what that is what they're passing around actually laid on the existing surface rather than replacing the asphalt. And it's attached around the edges. So it sort of floats on top of the existing asphalt. This will limit future cracks in the asphalt and it won't reflect through. It's called Pro Bounce.
If I could hop in, I played tennis there, I think 2 weeks ago, and it's just like a normal court. It's not, it doesn't feel spongy or anything. Reed High School has one of their tennis players out there playing, so it passed the tennis test with me at least. So.
So thank you for that. Some challenges, however, that the Parks and Recreation Department faces because of our robust economy, which is great. We have a booming economy. However, we have really low unemployment rates, which makes it difficult for them to recruit, train, and retain staff to meet the program demand. As a result, enrollments for the program are capped, and they currently have wait lists. As you know, our population is increasing, so they are unable to serve everyone because of limited resources, staff, and facilities. And I also want to mention that currently park maintenance utilizes a contract with labor and with the sheriff's department to utilize their work crews. They would not be able to get the work done if that were not the case. Some of the partners that have helped the Parks and Recreation Department is the Adopt a Park program. 68% of our city parks are adopted by residents and businesses, and that is the highest rate again to date, so setting a lot of records last year. Those partners pick up garbage, report graffiti, clean planters, and even more. And each group that volunteers their time receives a sign of recognition in their park, and it's up to each person or group how they want the sign to read, whether it's a business or names of individuals. Some of the additional partners last year were the Eagle Scout projects, which improved the park system by, some examples are staining wooden playgrounds and rehabilitating horseshoe pits and even more. And park staff are the ones that select the parks that are in most need. Various businesses support the Parks and Recreation Department through advertising and marketing efforts. Local foundations provide grants. Volunteers serve on boards and committees and are advocates for the Parks and Rec Department. And every partner is acknowledged. Last month, July, was Parks and Recreation Month. And every partner is acknowledged in the biannual Parks and Recreation Activity Guide, and as well as a large ad placed in the Reno Gazette-Journal, acknowledging everyone. Additional highlights for partners was the tree planting at Shadow Mountain Sports Complex by the Rotary Club of Sparks and the Rotary Club of Sparks Centennial Sunrise. They replaced 45 trees, most of which were killed by the western bark beetle. And I'd also like to mention that's in addition to the 30 trees that they had donated and planted last year. So many thanks to them. Okay, again, I would like to thank you for this opportunity and for your ongoing support, and open it up to any questions that you might have.
Questions or comments? Ms. Bybee.
If someone was interested in adopting a park, how do they go about doing that?
They can certainly contact Parks and Recreation Department or myself at 353-23762. Get a contract from Tony Pele. And it's an easy contract. We take it before the commission. They're valid for 2 years at a time. It's on their schedule too. We don't dictate the schedule. It's whenever they're available to help us out, we'll take it.
Okay, any more questions, comments? Well, thank you for the presentation. Appreciate it. Good seeing you again,
Thank you
Andrea.
to our liaison, Councilman Abbott, as well.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to consent items. Anybody want to pull a consent item? Mr. Lawson?
I'm going to make a motion to approve consent items 8.1 through 8.3.
Okay, we have a motion looking for a second. Mr. Abbott?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Okay, we'll move on to 9.1, general business. Consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the mayor's recommendation of an appointment to the Civil Service Commission for a 3-year term from the following pool of applicants, and that would be Scott Benton, I think, is the only applicant we have for that. Is that right?
That is correct.
So I guess that would be the presentation right there. Looking for a motion to confirm the mayor's pick. Mr. Anderson.
Move to confirm the mayor's appointment of Scott Benton to the Sparks Civil Service Commission for a 3-year term expiring June 30th, 2022.
Okay, we have a motion, looking for a second. Mr. Lawson?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Is Scott in the house? Scott here? Okay. Move on to 9.2. Consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the mayor's recommendation of an appointment to the Sierra Arts Foundation Board of Trustees for a one-year term. And the mayor picks Francine Burge. So I'm looking for a motion to confirm that. Mr. Abbott.
I move to confirm the mayor's appointment of Francine Burge to the Sierra Arts Foundation Board of Trustees for a one-year term expiring August 13, 2020.
Okay, I have a motion, looking for a second. Mr. Lawson.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Okay, 9.3. This is Michael Drinkwater. Consideration, discussion, and possible approval to join an existing national intergovernmental purchasing association contract, AC 5598. Go ahead.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you. Michael Drinkwater, Treatment Plant Manager. I have with me today Casey Mintzner, Tomor's plant engineer. I noticed, I thought you might be getting tired of seeing my face, so I got to bring along some staff to get them used to this, so.
And I like his haircut, too.
Well, I was going to say, the men's grooming standard for the city of Sparks is getting a little rigorous from where I sit, so I thought, you know, with the manager and the mayor, in any case, sir, you have before you today.
Manager not by choice.
Yeah.
A request to join onto a NEPA contract to purchase sodium hypochlorite, which is bleach. We use bleach in the final treatment process, which is disinfection prior to discharge to the river. Our current contract has expired. Mr. Marin from the contracts purchasing department found this contract for us. It represents a 2 cent per gallon increase over our current price. Given the current market, remember that price, by the way, was set more than a year ago when we did this before. In the current chemical market, 2 cents is de minimis, and we do not believe we can get a better price if we were to competitively bid this. So I'm asking for your permission to join onto that contract to purchase bleach.
And when we use how many gallons of bleach a day?
1,800 to 2,000, roughly,
A
sir.
little bit of bleach.
A little bit, sir.
Okay, any questions or comments? Seeing none, looking for a motion. Mr. Anderson.
Move to approve the joining of existing national IPA or NIPA contract AC 5598 for the purchase of sodium hypochlorite or bleach from Thatcher Company of Nevada at a cost of 92 cents per pound, or I'm sorry, gallon.
Okay, we have a motion, looking for a second. Mr. Dare.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. And it passes unanimously. Okay, you're also 9.4.
Yes, sir.
Consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the reimbursement to the city of Reno for Sparks share of a construction contract with Nelson Electric. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. You have before you a request to approve the reimbursement to the city of Reno for the construction, the rehabilitation of motor control centers 7, 8, and 9 at Tumworth. Motor control center is just an electrical structure that receives high voltage, high current from the main substation and distributes to 10 to 15 pieces of equipment depending on where you are in the plant. Typically, in our case, they're pumps. We have 37 motor control centers throughout Tumworth. About a year ago, we had the electrical engineer risk rank them. Many of them are at the end of their service life. The highest risk is, in fact, was 7, 8, and 9. While they are distinct pieces of equipment, they are co-located. They're right next to each other in one particular portion of the plant. So not only are they all the same age and therefore all nearing the end of their service life, replacing them all at one time is logistically favorable for us because we have to provide temporary power. So to do it for 3 is not much more complicated than doing it for 1. So we're asking, it is in the approved Tumworth CIP. This is anticipated work. We expected to do it, and the current bid is below the estimate for the project.
Okay, any questions, comments? Looking for a motion, Ms. Bybee.
I move to approve reimbursement to the City of Reno for Spark's share of a construction contract with Nelson Electric Company, Inc. for the MCC 7, 8, and 9 replacement project at the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility in the amount of $366,300, with the City of Spark's share being $114,908.31.
Okay, I have a motion looking for a second. Mr. Anderson?
Second the motion?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Spending a lot of money today, you know. You see, that's the only time we ever see it is when you need money.
That's true. Yeah, I'm not even
It's all
getting to a
going
whole
right
se-
down the drain. Okay, 9.5, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of an agreement, AC 5595, with Brown and Caldwell for construction management service for the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility. Go ahead, sir.
Sir, I had the hat trick. I got 3 in a row today.
That's right.
This, sir, sorry, Michael Drinkwater, Treatment Plant Manager, still. This is a construction management contract in support of a construction contract which this body approved at its last meeting, which was in early July. So I apologize, I forget the date. This construction management contract was not right, but we couldn't bring it forward concurrent with the construction. This particular project is the rehabilitation of the inside of a digester. Chemically, it's a very harsh environment, and one of the critical components of the project is the coating, the application of a coating system inside the digester. In order to ensure that that's done properly, the construction management and the inspection is critical. That's actually subbed from Brown and Caldwell to a company called Bay Area Coatings. It's a specialty skill that they do a lot of. It's just an expertise we don't have on staff. We actually need this to make sure we get the coating properly applied, and therefore we get the 10 or so years of service life we expect out of this rehabilitation. So this is, as is all consultant contracts, joined with the City of Reno. This work is in the Tumworth CIP. It was anticipated for this year, and this is within the budget of the project.
Okay. Any further questions, Mr. Dare?
No, I'm ready to make a motion if you'd
Okay,
like,
go
sir.
ahead, sir.
I move to approve an agreement, AC 5595, with Brown and Caldwell for construction management services for the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility nitrification digester to cover rehabilitation project in an amount not to exceed $205,300, with City of Sparks share being $64,402.61.
Okay, we have a motion. Looking for a second, Mr. Abbott.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. How's that new road working out for you?
That new road is fantastic.
Isn't that
sir.
nice?
Thank you very much. It
Good.
is a very nice road.
It's a beautiful road.
It is.
Next time, let Casey speak.
Yeah.
You know,
Just
sir,
upset there, look at that pretty face. That-
we have our policy is see one, do one, teach one, right? So next time I'll be sitting over there, and then you won't see me ever again.
We don't need them anymore, Casey. Thank you. Okay, 9.6, consideration and possible approval of an expenditure of $479,329 to purchase one Vector 2100i sewer maintenance vehicle from Federal Signal Corp. Mr. Corman. And it looks like this.
There we go. Looks like that.
Very pretty.
There we go.
Gonna have to trade
What was it?
all mine.
Control, what?
And the house, 4,800.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of the council, Ron Corman, your Public Works Manager. For the record, this afternoon I am presenting for your consideration a request to purchase a new Vector sewer cleaning machine to replace a 19-year-old machine that has reached the end of its service life. The cost of this machine is $479,329 and was approved in the fiscal year 20 fleet replacement program budget. The city will be utilizing the joiner provision allowed under NRS to source and purchase this machine. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, looking for a motion. Mr. Anderson.
Move to approve the expenditure of $479,329 to purchase one Vector 2100i sewer maintenance vehicle.
Okay, we have a motion looking for a second. Mr. Abbott.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. That passes unanimously. And you're up next too, Mr. Corman.
Yes, sir.
Consideration, 9.7, consideration and possible approval of an expenditure of $288,410 to purchase one Timco Model 500X regenerative air sweeper.
Again, for the record, Ron Corman, your Public Works Manager. This item I'm presenting for your consideration is a request to purchase a new Timco street sweeper. This sweeper will replace a 13-year-old sweeper that costs more to maintain than it's worth. The cost of this new sweeper is $288,410 and was approved in the fiscal year 20 fleet replacement program budget. The city will be utilizing the joinder bid or joinder provision allowed by NRS to source and procure this street sweeper. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions or comments? Ms. Bybee?
Ready to make a motion?
Go ahead.
I move to approve an expenditure of $288,410 to purchase one Timco Model 500X regenerative air sweeper.
Okay, we have a motion looking for a second. Mr. Anderson?
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Corman. And 9.8, consideration, discussion, and possible approval to join an existing Washoe County contract AC 5597 with Qual Econ USA.
And once again, in case you forgot who I am, Ron Corman, your Public Works Manager. The next item I'm presenting for your consideration is a request to joinder onto an existing contract that Washoe County has for janitorial services. This would be for janitorial services in many of our city facilities, including the police department, Parks and Rec offices, City Hall, across the board. This also includes janitorial services in high security areas where the personnel are required to have an NCIC background check. The cost of this service is $191,200 and was approved in the fiscal year 20 facilities maintenance budgets. The city will be utilizing the joinder provision allowed by NRS to source and procure this service.
Okay, questions or comments? Looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott?
I move to approve joining an existing Washoe County contract AC-5597 with Qual Econ USA, Inc. for high-security janitorial services for various city facilities in the amount of $191,200.08.
Okay, we have a motion looking for a second. Mr. Anderson?
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Thank you, Ron. Good job.
Graphic would be appropriate, yeah.
Okay, 9.9, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a recommendation from the Regional Street Naming Committee. John?
Thank you, Mayor, council members. John Erickson, city engineer. This is a pretty straightforward request. Lazy 5 is located just to the east of Pyramid Way. This is Belimo, and the middle school and elementary school are being constructed down just at the bottom of the page here. Lazy 5 is named between Pyramid Way and David Allen Parkway. The rest of the road off to the east is Wingfield Hills Road. And so this request is to rename it to Wingfield Hills Road. So it would be just one name from Pyramid all the way to Vista once the road is constructed on Pioneer Meadows. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions or comments? Mr. Dare?
I'm pretty excited about seeing this go in. For the last couple of years, we've been talking about this and how important it is. And now, from my understanding, the road up the way, when should that be open? When should this whole thing be open?
Wingfield Hills, I spoke with Lennar here this morning, and they're hopeful to have it open, or we would have it accepted in October, end of October of this year.
End of October. Yeah. And as anybody listening to this, citizens that live out there, that gives you another way to get out of there if there's a problem. When we've had a few accidents out there, we find ourselves causing ourselves some major problems trying to figure out how to get out in emergency. So this is going to be very helpful for that. But then also I think it will relieve some of our Vista traffic. But Mayor, I'm ready to make a motion when you'd like, but I don't know if anybody's have a discussion. I move to approve the recommendation from the Regional Street Naming Committee to rename Lazy 5 Parkway between Pyramid Way and David Allen Parkway to Wingfield Hills Road. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion looking for a second. Mr. Anderson?
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Thanks, John. Okay, 9.10, consideration and possible approval to purchase annual support and licensing AC 5593 for Arctic Wolf SOC. Steve.
Mayor and City Council, Steve Davidic, for the record, your IT manager. We're before you today to get approval to continue the service we have for our security as a security center, operations center contract we have with a vendor that helps us keep your data secure. We do everything we can to try to make sure that all the city employees' email, all the city's data, and all our technology is as secure as we can. We don't have the personnel to do this, so we have contracted out for the last couple of years to make sure that our security center, our data center is as secure as we can make it. Just for an example of some of the things we've done this last year is we added a whole thing where if you're outside of the country, any of the US, we know when you log in from any other country. And it's actually stopped a lot of problems. For example, our city attorney was sitting at his desk here in Sparks, only he was logged on in Laos. So for the city of Sparks, that's what we try to do, is make sure that we do the best job for keep the employees' data and the city's data safe. So that's what we're asking for your approval today.
Okay, any questions or comments?
DC considered a foreign country?
Is
Washington,
DC?
Depends.
Okay, Mr. Dare.
I just want to say how important it is. I know with everything that's happening, this, I'm sure, is the beginning of possible things we need to keep looking at. And more data, it's going to be, I think it's going to actually get far worse before it gets any better. And anything we can do to be there. And so this is probably a small beginning to that, in my opinion, but this is good.
Okay, Mr. Abbott.
So if we leave the country, we should tell you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Councilmember Bybee is continuously letting us know when she's out of the country.
Note taken. I'm ready to make a motion.
Go ahead, Mr. Abbott.
I move to approve the purchase of the fiscal year 2020 maintenance contract AC 5593 and software licensing renewal from Arctic Wolf in the amount of $54,302.40.
Okay, we have a motion looking for a second. Ms. Bybee.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, 911, consideration, review, and possible acceptance of a $15,000 community impact grant from Nevada Arts Council. Francine, welcome.
Thank you. For the record, Francine Burge, Special Event Supervisor. I'm here before you to ask for permission to accept an award from the Nevada Arts Council. We were awarded $15,000 for a 2-year project with the Sierra Arts Foundation to open a gallery in downtown Sparks. It's located in the old Depot building. We do have the matching funds that's required of $15,000, and that's located in the Arts Fund, and that's part of their strategic plan for a galleries program in our downtown. With that, I'll answer any questions.
Okay, questions or comments? Mr. Anderson.
Francine, I just want to compliment you and the team. I mean, it's so cool to see the things that are happening down there. With the opening of that, the depot is incredible. So great job, keep it up.
Ms. Bybee.
I also wanted to thank you for, I was on that walking tour when we walked around the city of Sparks looking for potential spots for art within Victorian Square. And we went into the depot and it looks nothing today like it did the day we walked in. The potential for you to see that, for the other artists to see the potential of actually starting an art space there is pretty incredible, and how quickly. Also want to thank 39 North and their help in getting the work done in painting and helping clean it up, and invite people when there's activities there to come down to go across the street to the depot and check it out. So I'm ready to make a motion if you're.
Sure, go ahead.
I have one question.
We can do that after we get there.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and make your motion.
Okay. I move to accept the $15,000 community impact grant from Nevada Arts Council.
Okay, we have a motion looking for a second. Mr. Dare?
I'll second that.
Okay.
And I have discussion as well.
Okay, and we have a motion second. Any further discussion? Mr. Lawson?
So it says up to 150,000?
That is the next item down. We'll talk about.
That's the next one.
Well, let's do the 150,000. Okay, perfect.
Mr. Dare.
Got ahead of myself.
Just for everybody, is the depot is open now and people can go there now, or when does it open, or, because I think you had some stuff this last week, right?
Yeah, we did a soft opening, and it'll be officially open in August. We're working on the contract with Sierra Arts right now.
In August, very good.
This next August or this August?
This
Okay.
August.
Just checking.
Well,
Can I just say, I'd be remiss to, you said thank you to me, but I also would be remiss not to mention Public Works did a lot of work to make sure that that happened really quickly.
It used to be the chamber office as well. Okay, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Okay, Mr. Lawson, now you're up to speed on this one here.
Now I'm on the right item.
9.12, consideration and possible direction to apply for the National Endowment for the Arts of Our Town Grant Program up to $150,000. Francine.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. For the record, Francine Burge, Special Event Supervisor. I'm here to ask for permission to apply for a grant for the National Endowment for the Arts Our Town program for $150,000. The reason I'm here to ask permission is because it does require a 50-50 match of $150,000. We do have this $150,000 already allocated from the Tourism Facility and Revitalization Committee. That was allocated back in 2016, and that is sitting in CIP, but it was part of the Victorian Square Room Tax Fund, and commonly known as the lodging tax. It's the 2.5% for room tax. Let's see. This is phase 2 of the NEA project that we have going on downtown, and this will be for the commissioning or buying for public art for our downtown space. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Okay, questions or comments? Neil, Mr. Kreutz.
I want to clarify a point here in terms of where this money lies. As I recall, it's in years 2 and 3 of our current 5-year CIP.
Correct.
So it's not part of your approved budget. It's programmed for future years. So it's already contemplated, but it's not approved. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that the match that we're talking about here is in the future.
And so you can apply for you've already applied for the grant?
No, it's, deadline's this week, so I'm pulling together the information right now. And the timing is very important, as Mr. Kreutz says. I apply for this grant, but the funds are not available until July 2020.
Okay.
And that is also when I can access the funds from the National Endowment for the Arts for this grant.
Okay.
So the timing works
Okay.
nicely.
Good. Ms. Bybee?
So Francine, just to clarify then, we already have that $150,000 that we set aside available next June, or next July. This would be, if we get an additional $150,000, that would complement that, and it's really being used for the same purposes of art in the downtown area that our original $150,000 that we approved in the CIP, correct?
Correct. It'll
Okay.
just be a match, so we'll
Okay.
have hopefully 100, from 150 to 300,000.
Hopefully double our money. Perfect,
And
okay.
I'm going to skip down to Mr. Kreutz again.
'Cause I want to make doubly sure that you do not have the city money authorized and approved yet. You have a plan that says you're going to consider it. But what we approve in years 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the CIP does not constitute an approval. It constitutes a plan. So I just want to make sure we're clear there. We do not have that extra 150,000 in this current year's budget. Not approved yet. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Lawson?
Well, just on that line then, Mr. Kreutz is, I believe we set that money aside though in the room tax. So it is.
It is identified there for that use. What I'm trying to avoid here, and I might be trying to make too fine of a point, is that I'm parsing the difference between a plan that we have and an approved budget that we have, because they are very different
Yeah, we
things.
only do a budget one year at a time, so I get that. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Dare?
I do want to clarify what I think I hear too. So we're not saying that saying yes to this is going to take 150,000 out of our budgeting that I need. Let's say we're going to go do something for cops or any of that. This is set aside out of the room tax money. It already has been deemed in that sense, and we're not working, because you keep saying that this is the next budget item, so I'm a little concerned when you say it that way, that I'm worried that we're possibly robbing from something that we haven't decided on yet.
No, okay.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's clear.
That, yeah, and we're not doing that. We are planning to spend, with this approval, money that has been identified in the room tax fund for future expenditure. The point I'm trying to make is that, you know, that plan for future expenditures does not constitute an approved budget. So I want to
get
make
that
sure
point.
that we all understand that.
I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
I have a question.
Mr. Adams?
Francine, in our grant application, are we committing our funds, or is it the grant contingent upon us ultimately providing matching funds?
The grant is contingent on having the matching funds.
That's fine.
We can use a combination of in-kind and cash, but for this purpose, we are just using cash.
Yeah, I was just concerned that if we're applying for a grant and then we are committing to providing matching funds, sounds like from what the city manager is saying that we don't have the authority to commit those yet. It's still executory.
Because it's over a certain amount, I will have to, okay.
City Attorney Adams, John Martini, Assistant City Manager for the record. Chet, the Room Tax Committee has approved this money in its master plan, if you will. Council will recall when we brought the CIP forward this year that we're working under, we show you the next 5 years, or a 5-year picture. This $150,000 match, if you will, is programmed in the CIP, but not till next fiscal year. So to your point, Chet, it is in the plan. We have identified the money in the 5-year CIP to the council. Should we be awarded this grant, what we're identifying is we do have the matching money should we be chosen for the grant.
Yeah, I just don't want to make a contractual obligation for something that we may or may not have if it's still, and my only concern was if we're applying for the grant, we say, yeah, we want the grant, we'll match it, assuming that we have the money. It looks like we're going to have the money, but we're not making a commitment that you give us the grant, now we're contractually obligated to give you $150,000.
Okay. We will not be obligated.
Good.
Chet, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, John Martini. Again, it's inside the plan, it's in the CIP. As the other Assistant City Manager just reminded me, should Francine be notified of the award, it will come forward in next year's CIP for you to approve in the expenditure.
Thank you. Thank you, Francine.
Okay, Ms. Bybee?
So Francine, I do have one more clarification. On the grant, is there any stipulation, if we were awarded it, is there a time frame at what point we have to expend the funds or produce the matching funds? Is it tied into that they say January 1st or within the next year? Do they have any time frame on that as part of your application?
I could not start spending the money until July 2020, and then I have 2 years to spend it.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments, Mr. Lawson?
How about I just make a motion?
Why do you do that?
I move to approve applying for the funds through the National Endowment of the Arts, our town grant program, up to $150,000.
Okay, we have a motion. Look for a second, Ms. Bybee.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Thanks, Francine.
Thank you.
And I see we have our rodeo folks here, but we're going to do one more before we bring them up. 913, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a settlement agreement with Matthew Wright in the amount of $100,000 in Wright versus City of Sparks. Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and City Council. For the record, I'm Assistant City Attorney Allison McCormick. Item 913 and 914 both relate to the same case, Wright versus City of Sparks. So with your leave, I'll address them both together.
Okay.
This case arose in May of 2017 when Matthew Wright was in a traffic collision with a city employee driving a city vehicle. Wright's vehicle was damaged, and Wright alleges that he was injured in the collision. In August of 2017, the city settled with Wright's insurer for property damage to his vehicle in the amount of $5,698.57. Personal injuries were not a part of that settlement because the extent of Mr. Wright's alleged injuries was not known at the time. As of today's date, Mr. Wright alleges that he has incurred about $65,000 in medical expenses, and he alleges that there will be ongoing medical expenses because his injuries are not yet resolved. Wright and his wife, Micah Wright, have sued the city and the city employee involved in the collision for negligence and loss of consortium. Mr. Wright has offered to settle his negligence claim for $100,000. That's in item 913. And Mrs. Wright has offered to settle her loss of consortium claim for $10,000. That's item 914. Each settlement does require a separate motion because it's separate settlement agreements, but the city attorney's office recommends approving both settlements. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions or comments? Ms. Bybee?
I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay.
I move to approve the settlement agreement with Matthew Wright in the amount of $100,000.
Okay, we have a motion. Looking for a second. Mr. Lawson?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Okay, move on to number 14. Is there any questions or comments? Looking for a motion. Mr. Dare.
I can make that motion. I move to approve the settlement agreement with Michael Wright in the amount of $10,000.
Okay, we have a motion. Looking for a second. Mr. Abbott.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Thank you, Allison. Okay, so we have a proclamation. First day of school today. How'd it go? Excited? Come on down. We got chairs for two of you and one can stand. And Mr. Process, if you want to come down with them, come on down. This is a proclamation for Spanish Springs Rodeo Team Day. Mr. Dare will be reading it.
Sure, I'll read it, and then if you guys want to say something afterwards, we'd love to hear from you, okay? So this is a proclamation from our mayor. It says, whereas the Spanish Springs Rodeo Team is a part of the Nevada State High School Rodeo Association, which was created to give junior high and high school students the opportunity to participate and compete in this unique and challenging sport. They advocate for respectful conduct and sportsmanship, presenting a positive image to the general public, preserving the Western heritage and maintaining the highest regard for the livestock. And whereas the Spanish Springs Rodeo Team has been in existence since 2008, 13 kids are on the 2019-2020 team. 3 boys and 10 girls ranging from 6th to 12th grade. The team is open to all competitors as well as non-competitors who want to be involved or learn more about the sport. And whereas the team is responsible for putting on a rodeo every year that they plan and organize, the rodeo is paid for through sponsorship funds and donations acquired by each team member. The team also puts on fundraisers throughout the year to earn money above and beyond sponsorships. Aside from funding the rodeo, every team member receives college scholarship money based on team participation throughout the year. Whereas team members compete in 14 total rodeos throughout Nevada, representing the local area before attending state finals in May 2020 in Las Vegas. The top finishers at state compete at the national finals in Nebraska in July 2020. Therefore, our mayor, Ronald Smith, mayor of the city of Sparks, proclaims August 24, 2019 as Spanish Springs Rodeo Team Day. Woo. And we're going to say all together, yeehaw! There you go.
Would you like to say something before we give you your proclamation?
Thank you.
Did you have to write that down?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you have a picture
Sure.
taken with them?
Very sure. If anybody wants to come out and watch you guys, can they do that?
Yeah.
So how do they do that?
Rodeo is on August 24th and 25th this year, and they come to Gandolfo Arena up off of Vista, and it's free to get in, and we love the support.
And what if Councilman Donald Abbott wanted to ride a bull? Could he come out and do that?
If he brought his own bull?
You don't answer that one. Take the tip.
But he's going to have a picture with you, with you ladies.
So you brought our bull with
Yes.
us today.
Oh, yeah, give us your names for the
My
record.
name is Jayton, Christina, and Olivia.
Yeah, Jayden,
I'm Olivia Process.
I'm Christina Hendricks. I'm Jayton Julian.
okay, and you, that must, okay, congratulations, good stuff.
Secretary and Public Relations.
Did you learn that from your dad?
No? What?
He didn't teach you anything?
That made no sense. What?
And Mayor, this young lady sings the national anthem quite amazing. Maybe one day that would be.
That would be great. Thank you. Come over here, have your picture taken with Councilman Dare.
Riding a bull is on my bucket list.
I bet it is.
You gotta do it.
Have your 200th restaurant.
I might be able to set you up.
It might be a lot.
I used to the cows, that better than more. He helps out.
No, but the cows, remember you had how many, it's like a milk cows.
Thank you, ladies.
You could do both in one day. That would be good. There'd be no good news that day.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, we'll move on to 9:15. Presentation, discussion, and possible approval of an employee complement change in management services, removing the position of customer service manager and creating the customer service supervisor position. Jill?
Good afternoon. Jill Valdez, Senior Human Resource Analyst for the record. Before you today are 3 agenda items that are related, and this is the first of those. In the city clerk's office, with the retirement of the city clerk, the city has been trying a different structure, and you have our acting city clerk here, and we've also had an acting customer service supervisor. This has been tried for about 6 months, and it is based on what other municipalities do successfully, so it's a tried and true combination of functions. After the 6-month pilot, staff feels confident that it's successful and it saves money. So what we are proposing is in the complement, which is the listing of authorized positions, that you remove the position of customer service manager and that you add a position for customer service supervisor. And then we'll discuss the resolution and contract changes in subsequent items. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions or comments for Jill? Seeing none, looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott?
I move to approve the complement changes to Management Services Department effective August 19th, 2019.
Okay, we have a motion looking for a second. Ms. Bybee?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. That's quick. 9:16, presentation, discussion, and possible approval to amend the Appendix A in the Management Professional and Technical Resolution R3341.
Jill Valdez, Senior Human Resource Analyst, again for the record. This is the second of the 3 items before you to accomplish the reorganization. And before I explain what we're asking for in this, I'd like to detour just a little bit to describe how we got to this request. In September of 2018, the council approved the HAY system, adopted it in the resolutions for full-time employees and in the operating engineers' labor agreements for use in determining classification levels and pay ranges. And at that time, we had the vendor, HAY, do all of the work leveling. It was a major project to level all of the positions across the city. But our ultimate goal was to establish an employee committee to do leveling as it comes up. So we may have new positions, reorganizations, reclassifications, or just changes to jobs that need review. The committee, I'm happy to say, of employees from across different areas of the city came together for the first time in July. They had intensive training for 3 days from HAY, and at the end of their training, they were able to review a series of jobs, including the reorganization in the city clerk and the customer service section. And as a result of their review of the jobs and the HAY consultants' approval of the work that they did, we have evaluated these positions, and you'll see some of that reflected in the changes that I'll talk about. So coming back to what you are seeing in this agenda item would make modifications to the Appendix A of the resolution for management professional technical employees. And in the Appendix A, we'd like to remove the title of Customer Service Manager because that function is being moved to City Clerk. Because we're moving functions into City Clerk and expanding the scope of City Clerk, the Hay level, as recommended by the committee, would move from a level 15 to a level 16. So that needs to be reflected as a change in the Appendix A as well. And those are the two changes for this item. And then I'll be back after another item to talk to you about the third. Any questions?
Questions or comments for Jill? Okay, seeing none, looking for a motion. Mr. Anderson.
Move to approve amendments to the Management Professional Technical Resolution R3341, Appendix A, effective August 19th, 2019.
Okay, we have a motion looking for a second. Mr. Abbott.
I'll second the motion.
We do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Thank you, Joe. Okay, we're going to move on to 9.17. This is a first reading. Madam Clerk.
This is the first reading of Bill number 2763, amending Chapter 12.44 of the Sparks Municipal Code to approve the Regional Road Impact Fee General Administrative Manual, Capital Improvements Plan, and Impact Fees as revised by the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County on May 20th, 2019, and providing for other matters properly related thereto.
This is the first reading of Bill number 2763. The public hearing for this bill for its consideration and possible approval will be held at the regular city council meeting scheduled for Monday, August the 26th, 2019. Okay, we'll move on to number 10, 10.1. This is a public hearing. Public hearing, consideration and possible approval of a memorandum of understanding, AC 5596, between the City of Sparks and the Operating Engineers Local Number 3, Supervisory Unit adding the Customer Service Supervisor position, related classification level and pay ranges to Appendix A of this current collective bargaining agreement between the parties effective August 19th, 2019. Jill is back again.
Yes, Jill Valdez, Human Resource Analyst for the record. This is the third agenda item, and this is a proposed agreement or memorandum of understanding with the Operating Engineers Supervisory Group to change the Appendix A in that contract to add the Customer Service Supervisor position and to assign it a level 13 in the Hay structure. Again, that work was done by the employee committee, and it is consistent with other supervisory positions within the city. We do have the signature of the business unit representative. The contract does have 2 more lines for their representatives out of Sacramento, and we don't have that back today. However, we have the understanding that all parties agree, and it's just a formality that we don't have their signatures yet, but it is forthcoming. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, this is a public hearing, so I'll open it up to the public. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the council for action. Looking for a motion. Mr. Dare.
I move to approve the memorandum of understanding AC 5596 between the City of Sparks and the Operating Engineers Local Number 3 Supervisory Unit.
Okay, we have a motion looking for a second. Mr. Abbott.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Okay, 10.2. Public hearing, consideration and possible approval of a resolution number 3350, authorizing the transfer of the city's 2019 private activity bond capacity allocation of $5,217,476.03, George, to be divided equally 50-50 between the Nevada Housing Division and Nevada Rural Housing Authority. Welcome, George.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. George Graham, Housing Specialist for the record. Today I'll be presenting staff's recommendation for City Council's consideration and approval of the Sparks 2019 Private Activity Bond Cap. The private activity bond cap can be used for private infrastructure improvement, a utility improvement, or affordable housing projects or programs. Federal government authorized issuance of tax-exempt bond for private purposes. For 2019, the City of Sparks received approximately $5.2 million, and staff received written recommendation from Nevada Housing Division and Nevada Rural Housing Authority for transference of said bonds. Both Nevada Housing Division and Nevada Rural Housing Authority offers a diverse packet of housing program for prospective home buyers in the Sparks community. In closing, staff recommends a 50% split of the Sparks 2019 bond cap to the Nevada Housing Division and Nevada Rural Housing Authority. At this time, I'm prepared to respond to any questions.
Any questions or comments for George? You see none, this is a public hearing, so I'll open up the public. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the council for action. Looking for a motion.
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay. Mr. Dare.
I thought you were gonna beat me. I'll go. I move to adopt resolution number 3350, authorizing the transfer of the city's 2019 private activity bond capacity, PABC, allocation of $5,217,476.03 to be divided equally 50-50% between the Nevada Housing Division and Nevada Rural Housing Authority to support implementation of the respectful affordable housing programs.
Okay, we have a motion. Looking for a second, Mr. Anderson.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Thank you, George. Passes
Thank you all. I
unanimously.
appreciate
Thank you. Okay, we don't have any planning and zoning public hearings or action items, so we'll move to comments. I'll open up the public comment period time. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the council for comments from the mayor, city council, city manager. Comments, Mr. Abbott.
Yes, let me grab my prop. So I would like to give direction to our city manager to look into zoning changes to allow bars and pubs to allow growlers, crowlers of that sort at pubs, you know. So that's my first direction. And then I have are we good there?
Understood. I will work with staff to develop alternatives to bring back for your consideration.
Perfect. And then my second one is, I'd also like to give direction to the city manager to look into allowing tattoo parlors in additional zoning districts.
Same thing. We will look into alternatives and bring you back options.
Okay, anybody else with comments or questions? Mr. Dare?
I'm looking for information on our public green space, what was left over at Wild Creek Golf Course, of keeping that green and keeping that open in that fashion. And I know that there's a process to it, so I'd just like to give direction to get some information on that.
And as is previous direction I've received from Councilmember Lawson to look into some sort of ability to keep that as green open space. So I am in conversations with Washoe County about that. I'll bring you back information as I develop it.
Thank you. Is that, well, I can't ask you questions. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, are there any more
Not allowed to ask.
questions or comments?
I have a
Seeing-
comment, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Adams.
Respectfully, Mr. Mayor, the city council considered some personnel matters, some contract matters concerning the clerk's office. And among those discussions that came up, this is a pilot program initiated by our clerk. And our office has a considerable amount of work with the clerk's office as well as customer service every now. And it's just been a fantastic change over there. I mean, we get our requests are always handed to us quickly, accurately, and it's just been a huge benefit, I think, to all of our citizens because of that office.
Lisa, good job. Thank you. And Julie, thank you both. Okay, any other questions? Thanks for that, Chad. Any other questions or comments? Without objection, we are adjourned.